Having been beaten twice by Dustin Poirier last year, breaking his leg in the second fight, it has this week been reported that the notorious Conor McGregor is nearing a return. Fans will be excited to learn that, according to the Irishman's social media, the countdown is on. Today, we're discussing Conor McGregor's claims that he's ready for a UFC return in the near future, so don't go anywhere. First up, what happened last year? McGregor returned to the octagon last January after more than a year out of action, following the Donald Cerrone fight, and was stopped in the second round after a flurry of ferocious punches at the hands of Dustin Poirier. The fight was the second between the pair after their 2014 meeting, in which Conor won via the exact same method. Shortly after, Dana White ordered an instant rematch to complete the trilogy, which was announced for UFC 264 in July. The highly anticipated rubber match didn't last long, however, as Conor rolled his ankle in the very first round, breaking his leg in the process. It had been suggested that Conor was carrying an injury coming into the fight, and the leg could have already been fractured, meaning that when he landed a kick on Dustin, he essentially broke his own leg. Whatever happened, Dustin walked away from the match victorious thanks to a doctor stoppage, and the long road to recovery for McGregor began in earnest. And since then, Conor has been calling out a who's who of the UFC roster, claiming that when he's back, he's ready to take on anyone. Who do you think would have won the fight if the freak leg break hadn't occurred? Next up, we're discussing his hints of a UFC return. Stay tuned. Of course, McGregor is no stranger to social media and regularly posts updates and callouts to his accounts. And if his Instagram is to be believed, a return could be closer than we think. As we know, he hasn't fought since last summer, having been through surgery shortly after the leg break. But it seems he's now back better than ever. And this week, he posted a photo to Instagram of him appearing to smash a heavy bag, sporting some pretty cool-looking green gloves. Ever the Patriot. And along with the picture was the caption, "Right hook tastiness, catch you soon, the countdown is on." Although we're not entirely sure how long the countdown will take. The former champ is yet to be cleared for a return, but to be fair, he looks as though he's in excellent shape. He appears to have put on a ton of muscle, which suggests that his previous claims of fighting at welterweight might not be too far off the mark. The man himself has called out welterweight king Kamaru Usman for the title recently, claiming that fight is the one I'm eyeballing at the moment. He went on to claim that he feels big, strong, and healthy, and reiterated his desire to fight at welterweight by suggesting there's no need to deplete himself anymore to get to lightweight. Are you excited for Conor's return? Let us know your thoughts about the Irishman below. Next up, Kamaru Usman has had his say on a potential McGregor showdown. As we know, Kamaru Usman appears to be untouchable at the moment. The Nigerian nightmare has run through all comers in the UFC so far and is currently on a 19-fight win streak. Yes, 1-9. And having cleared out the whole division, some people have suggested that a money spinner against Conor McGregor, who has been chirping at him recently, could be next. But Usman has other ideas. He claims that McGregor is only trying to stay relevant by calling him out. And after Conor had claimed he would feel confident against Usman, the welterweight king initially registered a slight interest. But he has since gone on to rubbish the idea, suggesting that the Notorious is only calling him out for the clout. And he even referenced the fact that Leon Edwards is probably up next, saying, "Right now, we kind of got Leon Edwards sitting there." He did go on to speak about McGregor, calling him a loudmouth, before claiming to forget his name. He said, "This is why you forget. This guy's not relevant. He hasn't done anything in the sport as of late. So in order for him to be relevant, he has to try to attach his name to someone who is relevant, and that's what the media is not understanding. The media is not getting." I mean, it kind of makes sense. What do you guys think? Let us know below. News from McGregor's old foe Dustin now. Stick around. Earlier this month, The Diamond took to Twitter to post a quick update, suggesting that he hasn't heard from the UFC in 2 months, and he has a theory as to why. The Louisiana native believes they're waiting for Conor to return to full fitness so they can book the 4th fight. Poirier, who was last out in his failed title bid against current incumbent Charles Oliveira, has recently shown an interest in fighting Nate Diaz, who himself has asked to be released from his UFC contract in recent months. And whilst both men did show an interest in that fight, there were crickets from the UFC side. Responding to a fan who had suggested to Poirier on Twitter that the UFC were waiting to make the 4th fight between him and McGregor, Poirier replied, "Probably so." And having just been beaten in his last title shot, Poirier is probably out of contention for another shot in the next year or two. So the Conor fight could actually make sense for him. Given the fact that the 3rd fight ended in a doctor stoppage, there's also a school of thought that there's a bit of unfinished business. And having had time to digest his next move, it seems as though Dustin could be open to another fight with McGregor, and we're sure he wouldn't mind the mega bucks that will come along with it either. Do you guys want to see a fourth fight between the pair? And now, Alexander Volkanovski has had his say on Conor. Conor McGregor is an enigma, there's no doubting it. There's no one else on the planet who can command the pay-per-views he can, and most of the top 10 PPVs of all time have been his fights, which is crazy. But Volkanovski, who currently holds McGregor's old featherweight belt, isn't impressed. Volk has suggested that Conor doesn't deserve the fame thanks to all the controversy he's continually surrounded in, saying, "I don't know, man, maybe it is that money. I can't tell you, but he's done some crazy things, but yeah, that was one thing that, well, it surprises me how many things like he could do. And I think to myself, is this the one that does him? Or people like that, but next minute he's probably getting more zeros on his next fight. You know what I mean." Well, after appearing to talk in tongues, we think what Volk meant was that McGregor has been involved in so many crazy incidents that he was convinced one of them would mean the end of his career. And the Great has even suggested recently that he could be interested in a fight with McGregor, as he's on a mission to take out as many former featherweight champs who are still active as possible. However, the likelihood of McGregor coming back down to 145 these days is probably slim to none, and his featherweight days are more than likely behind him now. Would you like to see a scrap between these two? And finally, a hilarious piece of news out of England. Stay tuned for this one. Conor McGregor is almost as famous for the mayhem he causes outside the octagon for his achievements inside it. So much so that a peacock currently causing havoc in an English seaside town named Seaton has been dubbed Conor McGregor thanks to his aggressive behavior. Apparently, Conor, the peacock, has been attacking cars he's mistaken for love rivals, and has reportedly been making residents' lives hell for as long as 6 years. Real name Pete, the crazy bird headbutts cars, breaks into houses and defecates all over town, leading residents to nickname him Conor McGregor. And one town resident, Andy Ramsden, said it's been in the village for 6 years harassing people. It sees its reflection and starts headbutting itself. It jumps at its reflection with its feet, it wakes my kids up, it's constantly squawking at midnight. It's just an absolute menace. He went on to say that there's poop everywhere and the peacock even comes and attacks his cat. After revealing the bird headbutts his car until it bleeds, he finished by saying, "It's like Conor McGregor. It cries out at all times of the day, waking people. I go to work at 4:30 a.m. and it's doing it then. You'd think I'd be up earlier than that, but I'm not." Hilarious. What are your thoughts on McGregor? Let us know below. As always, thanks for joining us today, and remember to swing by next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a solid by sharing today's videos with any McGregor fans you know of? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more great content. Bye guys!